Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and this is for trading on for the week of January 18th to 22nd. So before we get started on this one or dive into the topic, just a quick disclaimer here. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, let's start off by taking a look at our calendar here. Actually, before we dive into this, just a bit of an overview of, let's take a look at what's going on around the world. In terms of the coronavirus cases, the number of cases are going up across the world, essentially. In the US, the number of deaths are almost around 400,000, which is just unbelievable. And the number of infections are in millions. And we are also seeing in UK, there have been tougher lockdown conditions or restrictions, as well as in Europe, they are going into tougher lockdown restrictions this week. In Canada, we have quite tough lockdown restrictions, at least in the area that I'm in, and in other areas as well. A lot of stuff is just pretty much running below capacity right now. Things are really slow. And so that's what's going on. There are concerns around the new variant of the coronavirus. At this point, it's not supposed to be any the mortality rate is not higher, but it spreads faster. So that's the concern. So that's from the coronavirus cases standpoint. And then in terms of the US, we are going into an important week here. So that's something we have to watch out for. So the first, so this week we have inauguration, middle of the week here. Now, US is taking much harder or stricter view of the violence that is expected. So I think prior to that, they didn't really, believe that there would be such riots that we saw. But now that we have seen that, they're expecting it, they're planning for it, and I would expect that as well, that there would be concerns around that. So good thing is the threat of the violence hopefully will be lower because of the precautions that are being taken. However, having said that, expect problems, because right now we haven't seen this type of risen emotions from everyone or a lot of people. And part of the problem is it's not just politics, it's the situation that we are in with the COVID and everything else, which is basically everybody is kind of at their end of the rope here. So this is it's just making everything worse. So just be careful. And then I would say in terms of trading as well, just notice that because we have heightened emotions in other areas, and nothing political, may just be COVID, right? Just being locked down is just crazy. That will impact your trading. So make sure you're taking that into consideration, which means your decision making may not be the same as you would see otherwise under normal circumstances, when we didn't have this type of a stress that we don't see, but it does impact our mental health. So keep that in mind. So, and that flows into the other events that we are seeing. Bottom line here, expect volatility in the US dollar going into this week. Now, after that, Biden has announced several programs, a lot of spending. Basically, we'll see a lot of spending in the US, and that is a good thing for the economy. Now, we will see the impact it has, because coming with that would be higher taxes on corporations, which they haven't done, or they haven't quite announced that. So right now the focus is on getting money into people's hands and supporting people and all of that. So this is what I would, so we will work on that, or we'll talk about that when that stuff comes up. But next week, there will be a lot of talk on the new, I think as soon as Biden takes office, the idea is to push a lot of these stimulus bills through, and that will be positive thing for the stock market, not such a positive thing for the US, and any sort of problems in terms of violence, political issues, that type of stuff will have a negative impact on the US dollar. So expect volatility, and just be careful. All right, so getting into the news here, starting off, we have GDP from China here. And then other than that, right in the beginning of the week here, not a ton of critical news. Now, we do see Eurogroup meetings here. These will be important. So even though they are not marked as red, any kind of comments that come out of them right now. So the stuff that we are dealing with additional lockdowns, and then we just went through Brexit. So kind of looking at what's going on, that can have an impact. So depending on the comments that come out, I wouldn't expect anything hugely different, but again, how they phrase it can make a difference in the market. So watch out for that. We do have Bank of England, Governor Bailey. He did say that there will be no negative interest rates for UK, and that is positive for the currency. Anytime they cut rates, it's negative for the currency. When they say they're not going to cut rates, that's positive for the current currency. So any of those comments out of if that changes, that will have a negative impact. But if he stays with the same stuff that he said previously, then I would not expect any type of impact on pound as a result of that. Now, we also have CPI numbers for the month. Other than that, so January 19, January 20th, this is where we have the inauguration here. So expect volatility in the US. So big day here on Wednesday, actually, for several different reasons here. So first is just the inauguration here, and this is where we'll see President Biden at that point speak. So we will see. So any of these positive programs, stimulus programs that are put into place, will have a positive impact on the stock market, which means the euro, pound, all these Aussie, especially Aussie and New Zealand dollar, are generally tied right into the market. So those will be good. It will be good for oil as well. So that's something to keep in mind. Now we are into earnings week here as well. So expect volatility, I would say, but basically because right now the stock market is trading at multiple times earnings, and I'm not sure if the earnings per share will come in at where the investors are expecting it to. So that would be something that will have an impact on the market as well. So we have like a tug of war between two different things. A lot of these stimulus programs is positive, and then if the earnings numbers don't hit the mark, that will drag the stock market down. So those are the type of things that we'll have to pay attention to. Bank of Canada here, we have a Bank of Canada rate statement, monetary policy, and then we have Bank of Canada press conference here. All of this at this point, Bank of Canada has said that they're not going to raise rates. So just like the Fed, Bank of Canada is not raising rates till 2021, but I think that will probably get pushed out to 2023. So if that's the case, that's a negative for Canadian dollar. But if the oil goes up, then Canadian dollar will be positive. So again, couple of different things that will be pulling the currencies into two different or could be pulling them in two different directions. So that's Bank of Canada. That will be important. We also have Bank of Japan. Monetary policy outlook at this point. So anytime we have the central bank saying they're going to cut rates or they're going to increase their asset purchases, any of those things are negative for the currency. They're positive for the stock market. So that's what we need to look out for. What are they thinking in terms of now that we are into 2021 and the vaccination has started? So the outlook here will be important. We also have employment numbers out of Australia. So Australia, New Zealand, they have done really well compared to a lot of other Western countries. So if the numbers start coming out positive here, that will be good for the currency. And then we also have on Thursday, we have monetary policy statement from Euro ECB. So again, same thing at this point, because Europe is going into tighter lockdowns. The importance, a lot of importance will be placed on how ECB sees things shaping up for 2021. So again, we're just watching out for the commentary there. And then we have Bank of England, Governor Bailey speaking again. So Wednesday and Thursday, a lot of stuff here. So we have to be mindful of that. CPI numbers for New Zealand. And then Friday again, important date. So Friday is important because of the PMI numbers. So PMIs are forward-looking numbers, and if the PMI numbers come in positive, that means the retail sales will be positive. So these are the precursors. Positive numbers here will push euro and pound up. So, and that is it for our overview of the market. So let's go into our charts here. Last week we were looking for price to drop because of this pin bar, and we have that. So nice bearish candle close here for euro. So in this case, I am looking for a follow through back into the support level at 1.20. So watch out for this pullback though. We could see a pullback right into 1.212 or 30. And then if it holds here, looking for price to drop back down. So bearish bias here for euro dollar, and target is 1.20. Okay. Pound here, pound is looking neutral. So it's been stuck for the last 4 weeks. It's been stuck in this range here. Now at this point, we could see a retest. So it's retested this level 3 times and it has failed. So we may see a bit of a pullback or a retest. It could retest all the way into the top of the range. So that's important. But then once it fails, I am looking for a drop, and then we are likely to even get a deeper drop. So all of this will be contingent on how the US dollar is performing, and we are going into a volatile week for US dollar. So keep that in mind here as well. But bias here is neutral. And once it holds below here, we'll be looking for it to drop into 1.3430 and 1.3350. So neutral bias for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, this one has also seen a pullback all the way. Price was into resistance. So this is what we had said last time, that this could happen, and here we are. So we have a similar move, which means we can expect something similar as well, not taking into account fundamentals or sentiment that's going on right now. But this is what I would expect. So basically a bit of a pullback and then drop back down here. First target here is 0.7600 and then 0.7500. So a bearish bias here for Aussie dollar as well. New Zealand dollar, this one also looking bearish. It was into resistance right here, and we see a drop now. So bias is bearish here. Again, watch out for that pullback and then looking for a drop here. So bearish bias. And in terms of our target here, 0.700, so bearish bias here as well. Dollar CAD here, this one seems to be bouncing off as well. It is looking neutral at this point. It hasn't really done much. It's been stuck in this range. At this point, it's still bearish overall, but it's neutral. It hasn't really gone in either direction. So what I'm looking at here would be a retest of the high here at 1.2820. If it holds, then we could see that next leg higher. But if it doesn't hold, then basically I would be looking for price to trade in this range here. Let me just move my... So yeah, so then I would be looking for price to trade between 1.2950 and 1.2620. So bias right now is neutral for dollar CAD. Euro pound here, price is right into support. So it did finally break through that, but it's right into support. And last 5 times price was here, it was not able to break the support. Now, it doesn't mean that it won't, but that means we have to be careful here. So this week, if it does a retest and doesn't go through, then we are looking for that move back into the range. It's been trading in this range for quite some time, for all of 2020 essentially. So watch out for this. Bias here is bearish, but with caution, because this the chances of this happening are quite high. So neutral bias here for euro pound. Euro Swiss franc here, this one's looking bearish, still trading in that range here. It was into the resistance, bounced off. Now it's coming into support, and this is where it struggled quite a bit. So bearish bias again with caution here. First target is 1.0740, second target 1.0675. So bearish bias for Euro Swiss franc. Pound Swiss franc here, this one is also trading in a range at this point. It has been, sorry, that was Euro Swiss franc. I don't know if I said pound Swiss franc, but Euro Swiss franc was bearish here. This one here is still trading in a range. Pound was stronger than euro. One of the things that had an impact here, a couple of things. One was Bank of England saying there would be no negative interest rates. And then secondly, we have seen euro is going into tougher lockdown. And that is negative for the currency because basically it has a negative impact on the economy. And this is where when euro is going down, pound tends to go up because of that euro pound. So here, I would say neutral here. Still trading in this range. We could see price go higher into the top of the range, so watch out for that. But very likely what could happen here is just a turnaround. It may try to go through and then fail and come back into the range. So right now a bias is neutral for pound Swiss franc, and I'm looking for it to go towards 1.2250 and then bounce back into the range. Dollar Swiss franc. It is also into the top of the range. This one is still neutral here. With this is the strong support resistance level. And see how price was really coming in strong into this level, but then it failed. So we could get a similar thing. That's what I would be watching out for. If it doesn't hold on the other side, we are coming back into the range. So neutral bias for dollar Swiss franc as well. Once it crosses over though, then it could go all the way into this support resistance level. So until then, neutral bias, we may see a bounce off of 0.8920. So that's the level I'm going to leave on my chart, and we'll watch it on more on the daily. So that was actually daily. So pound here, pound yen. We see a pin bar here similar to this. So bias here is neutral to bearish. And in this case, looking for a bit of a pullback, either into 141.50 or 141.60, around that area, and then looking for a drop back down here. And target is 139.40. So neutral to bearish bias here for pound yen. Euro yen here, this one has been more bearish. So we have a nice bearish engulfing candle here, looking for price to drop further here. Now, something to keep in mind here, when we see one of them drop, let's say the pound drops or euro drops and the other one doesn't, so generally euro and pound tend to move in the same direction, but if only one of them is dropping, it can readjust, so they can realign. That's something to bear in mind as we trade this week, because there's so much negativity on one side that it has to balance out a bit, which means it may move in the opposite direction. Keep that in mind. But right now, a nice bearish engulfing candle here, looking for price to drop further, and our target here is 124.35 back into the base of this candle here. So bearish bias for euro yen. Dollar yen here, this one is sideways here. It's been sideways for last several weeks. At this point, this is neutral. I'm expecting it to trade within this range, 103.50 and 104.30. So neutral bias for dollar yen. Aussie yen here, a bit of a pullback here. It doesn't look that strong. It is a strong support resistance level. So neutral to bearish bias here. First target is 78.60 and then 77.50. So neutral to bearish for Aussie yen. New Zealand yen here, a bigger drop for New Zealand we have seen this week. And looking for a further drop here, follow through move. And in this case, watch out for, again, those pullbacks, and then looking for a move lower here, 73 and 72.60. So bearish bias for New Zealand yen as well. CAD yen here, this one is also, this one is neutral to bearish. It's been trading in a range here. And right now, we can see prices bouncing off of the top of the range. So I will look for move further down. However, keep in mind that it can retest the top of the range once again. So this is the move I'm expecting. Target here is 80.00. So neutral to bearish bias here for CAD yen. All right, so those are our Forex pairs. So let's take a look at our commodities here. Starting off at silver. Silver was bearish last week. And we did see that move down, but it hasn't broken through the support level yet. So watch out for a bounce here. But it is looking bearish. Next target here is 23.50. So bias is bearish. We could get something like this or a deeper pullback here and potentially into this 25.30 level, but basically bias is bearish. Gold here. Now, only thing to bear in mind here, so a lot of these crosses, there was a big move on Friday to the downside, right? So that can misconstrue the movement. So watch out for these pullbacks. And like I said, it will be volatile because of all these here, the stock, especially the US stock market is going to be volatile in the upcoming week because of one, threat of violence and basically political unrest, and then, or civil unrest, I should say, because of politics. And then on top of that, we are seeing a big switch in power, and the whole policies, basically, they're very much at odds with each other, and hence there will be that, concern, heightened emotions, basically, but also change in policy, a big change in policy. So we are going to see a lot more stimulus money being put into the economy, and that can shift the market dynamics. So just be careful. Target here 1763. This is looking bearish as well. Now we can get a pullback into 1850 and then a drop. So this is bearish as well. That's the move I would watch out for. Oil here. Oil also took a hit on Friday. It was into important support resistance level here. At this point, neutral to bearish bias here, and I will look for a bit of a pullback and then looking for a drop back down towards 49.20. So neutral to bearish bias for oil. Copper here, copper is still in that a bit of a sideways range. It did try to go through, but we are back into the support here. 3.45 is the target. So within the range, looking for it to come test the bottom of the range. So I'm going to leave the Bitcoin alone, I should say, because I haven't checked the latest on this one. So we'll cover that in our daily on Monday. But let's take a look at the stock market here. Stock market did bounce down. Now, earnings season is starting here. And with that, if the earnings don't come in, some of the earnings will be are likely to be super good. So all these internet companies that are benefiting from this sudden internet boom, like Netflix, Google, all of these companies, they are likely to do well. The rest may not do so well. So it's up in the air right now. So if the earnings don't come in positive, then we're likely to see a drop in the market. Second thing is all that positive talk about the stimulus. If the stimulus, they're able to pass the stimulus, that would be a positive thing for the markets, which can make it go up as well. So bias here for now, based on the technicals alone, is bearish, but it can change very rapidly because of what's happening in the market this week. So we'll tackle that on a daily, but based on the technicals alone here, this is looking bearish, looking for a pullback towards 36.60 here. Thanks, Salvatore. BTC is at 37.5. Yeah, so it's still range bound at this point. So neutral bias. It's still holding it, but it's range bound for now. So bias will be neutral, and we'll monitor it more on the daily. Nasdaq here, Nasdaq as well showing signs of weakness. So bias here is bearish. Again, this is going to be an interesting week. So just based on technicals, this is what I'm looking at. 12,450 is the target here to the downside. So bearish bias for now. And Dow Jones here as well, it's been trading sideways right now. Couldn't really hold that breakout. So right now, bearish bias towards 30,450 and potentially towards 29,850. But what could happen here is we may just see a dip and then another move higher if it doesn't really hold below this support level at 30,500. So this is where we'll have to monitor it on the daily. But for now, I'm looking for a bit more of a drop, a pullback towards 29,850 for Dow Jones. DAX here, DAX finally dropped through that. And now looking a little bearish. So again, we are back into this range once again that it's been here, it's been stuck here. First target is 13,550, and then we may see it come back down towards 13,300. So right now, bearish bias for DAX as well. FTSE also dropped a bit. It was a big move upwards. It's at an interesting level right now. So this one we'll have to watch closely here. If it doesn't drop through this level, this is a good level here. If it doesn't drop through, it can just do a bounce because already it is it's in a bullish move upwards. So I'm neutral on this one. If it may just drop towards 6680, or it may go lower into 6600 and then bounce off of that level. So right now, basically looking for a bit of more of a pullback towards 6600, and then we could see a potential move higher. And then Nikkei, finally, Nikkei had a down day. It's been on this massive bull move higher. So in this case, neutral to bearish here, looking for a bit of a pullback and then potential drop towards 27,680. So bias is neutral to bearish. So we may see some pullbacks here in some of these markets. All right, so that's all I have. There were a couple of questions here. Let me take a quick peek at the chat. Do I suggest trading on Martin Luther King Day, sorry. I don't. Usually what happens is, reason I don't suggest trading on holidays, on major holidays, is because the liquidity in the market is really low. So you combine heightened emotions in the market with low liquidity, you can get really either aggressive moves or nothing happens in the market. So it's better to just save that stress on your mind and not trade in those days. I had put in a question about if you guys want me to create certain videos. Please, if you're watching on YouTube after, please put them in the comments. I will be creating a lot more videos and doing a lot more training this year. If there's a particular topic you want me to address, please put it in the comments under the video. I will be uploading this to YouTube. So one of the things that I see here, trading on so XAUUSD and gold. So I'll take a look at it. I haven't really, I'll take a look at it, see if I can do a video on that. Now I will be doing a video on something that we were talking before we started the recording. So this will be in regards to position sizing and when to cut the trade. To cut a losing trade and that type of stuff. So I will be making some videos on that, but if you do want me to do any additional videos, please put it in the comments and I'll make sure to cover those topics. All right, so you guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will be back again on Monday with the daily analysis. Bye for now.